Sure, okay. Well, today basically I'm going to be talking to you guys about something called the fair share issue. And that is referencing the fair share of funding that Peel gets for social services, for education, for mental health services. So a lot of these things that are really intertwined and related to the work that United Way does. So let me just backtrack and first, I want to apologize for what I'm wearing. Today was actually United Way's Day of Caring, so I spent the entire day planting trees, delivering pamphlets, picking up garbage, and all that stuff. So it was a really fun day, and if you have Twitter, follow us at United Way Peel. When it comes to the overall issue that United Way is dealing with, it's about poverty alleviation. And one of the biggest issues that we face as an organization is that United Way is what we call well-known, but not known well. So people know this symbol, they know our colors, they know generally what we do, but they don't know how we do it. They don't know, sometimes people don't know where the money goes, sometimes people are skeptical. So that's why I really love to go out into community opportunities just like this so I can engage people and explain exactly what United Way does. So we are, like I said at the top of this presentation, we're all about poverty alleviation. And poverty in Peel region looks a lot different than it does in other places in the world, even in Toronto. While poverty in other places might look like people sleeping on the streets, poverty here might be, a single mother trying to decide whether she's going to pay her rent or feed her child. At a recent session, I believe Adoma was facilitating this with somebody at our office. We were with a group of students and we were asking them, what does poverty look like to you? How would you explain what poverty is? And one student put their hand up and said, poverty is when my mom only has one juice box and she gives it to me. That kind of gives you a snapshot of exactly what we're talking about when we're dealing with poverty in Peel region. Even if you just take that one statement, you're looking at, obviously there's issues of accessing healthy food and enough food for the family. There's issues of poverty. There's issues of, intergenerational. There's a lot of things that can be going on in those things. So in order to alleviate these things, we actually gather money in the community, just like was stated over here, and then we invested in programs that are related to alleviating poverty, and specifically in 3 areas. One, in areas of moving people from poverty to possibility, so that is food security programs, transitional housing programs. 2, it's creating opportunities to help kids be all that they can be, so after-school programs, parenting programs. And then 3, it's creating healthy, strong communities. So that's mental health programs, sexual assault, abuse programs, drug addiction programs. Now, a lot of people will look at those types of programs and say, well, you guys are kind of spread thin. You're touching a lot of different things. That's a lot of different conversations that you're having within the community. In fact, that's actually the same conversation to us. It is one conversation because it's all part of the cycle. If you think of it, if you want to help a child that's going through the cycle of poverty, you have to help the parent. If you want to help the parent, you have to help that environment. In order to help that environment, you have to help the community. So it is one conversation, and that's why we're investing in all of those situations. So that's basically what United Way does. Does anybody have any questions about what United Way does? No? Cool. Awesome. So part of my job at United Way, I'm the communications and engagement coordinator, so I handle their social media, I handle a lot of the pamphlets, I do a lot of the writing for that, and then on the engagement side, I actually handle something called the Young Leaders Council. So the Young Leaders Council is this dedicated group of 20 to 30-year-olds, young professionals in Peel region that are doing a great job engaging other youth and getting them involved in the work that United Way is doing. We have 2 members of the Young Leaders Council here today. So Jamila, Alex, if you guys want to, okay, cool. So these 2 members are part of the Young Leaders Council, and they're doing great work. Some of the things that we do are very similar to the Elevator Project. We have something called the Youth in Action Grants, where they're micro-granting programs of up to $2,000 that we give out to youth 14 to 24 to run programs that matter to them, as long as it relates back to the work that United Way is doing and empowering youth. So that's the overview of what I wanted to talk about. Now, the issue that I want to talk about was the fair share issue. Now, over the past few years, Peel region, that's Mississauga, Brampton, and Caledon, and I'm sorry, I should have prefaced this from before, a lot of the stats and a lot of the things that I'm talking about, it is very region based. So I know that we're in Brampton right now, but just keep that in mind that when I'm talking about stats, I'm talking about Mississauga, Brampton, and the town of Caledon. So all of Peel region, and I'm sure you're going to hear a little bit about this later on, it's grown tremendously. But the problem is that the funding structures that go into the social services and all these programs that help so many people within Peel region, these funding structures have not kept up. So, when you look at a comparison between, say, a place like Toronto, and you have a lot of the same issues that we're facing in Peel, they're getting more funding, and significantly more. So I actually have a few stats that I want to share with you, and I had to bring up this piece of paper, so I'm sorry for that. Just to show you exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to the vast difference of funding that we're getting. So Toronto has a population right now roughly 2.8 million people. In Peel, we have 1.3. So that's about half the population of Toronto. So logically, you'd think that since we have half the people and we're facing the same problems, we'd probably get half the amount of funding. Not even close. So if we're looking at youth shelters within Peel region, 24-hour full service to youth who are experiencing a tragedy and they need to find shelter and they need to find safety. When we're looking at Peel region, how many of those youth shelters do you think we have? One. We have one. In Toronto, how many do you think they have? 6? 26. 26? It's in the middle there. It's 11. They have 11, but that's not where the biggest difference is. It's in the amount of beds. So in that one shelter in Peel region, we have 14 beds. That's to serve all of the youth in all of the region of Peel. So 14 beds, and obviously they have to turn people away because those beds get filled up quick. Where do they go? They'll probably go to the Toronto shelters. So those 11 shelters have 502 beds. So 502, 14 for us. Yet we have half the amount of people in Peel region. So obviously the funding is not the same. Another example would be a community legal clinic. In Peel region, we have some community legal clinics in Mississauga and Brampton. We have 16 staff members to facilitate and deal with all the clients that are going through. And this is particularly important for United Way because if you're in the justice system and you're trying to get out of this cycle of poverty, it's very difficult without incurring all these legal fees. So having community help, especially on the legal side, is a huge, huge help. So we have 16 staff members, which seems great. And it is a big number. It's bigger than the amount of beds that we have for youth. But when you compare that to Toronto again, they have 109 staff. So 109, 16. That's not even 1/3. I'm not good at math, so somebody else can do that ratio for me. Now let's go to community health centers. Community health centers are basically one-stop shop for an individual, a client, to receive services regarding mental health, even their personal health, so that they don't have to travel to so many different locations in order to access services. In Peel region, we have 2 community health centers and 1 satellite office. So one of them is just an office that doesn't even have the capacity to handle all these clients. Again, let's go to Toronto. So again, we have 2 and 1. In Toronto, they have 32. So this is a huge, huge issue that we're dealing with. And it's amplified by the fact that United Way is actually, United Way across Canada is the second largest funder of social services behind the government of Canada. So that means if United Way wasn't there, a lot of these services would either close, they wouldn't exist, they wouldn't be delivered in the same way, or they wouldn't be able to be reaching the same amount of people. Yet, even though we are there, this is still the reality. And there are wait lists, there are people that are going through these systems and they're suffering. And we need to mobilize, we need to get people to understand these issues and then do something about them. So the challenge that I guess I want to present to Fuse Brampton and all of you guys here today is how do we get young people to, one, spread the message about what's going on in terms of this funding and in terms of getting Peel its fair share, and 2, what can we do to actually hold the people who can do something about this? How do we hold their feet to the fire? How do we make a splash? How do we make an impact? We can do it through social media, we can do it through letter writing campaigns, we can do so many things, and that's why I love being in a room full of social innovators, because you guys are gonna think outside the box. Well, outside of the box. And I want you guys to do that, right? So don't be like me, think out here and think about things that we can do in order to make a splash. This is an election year. What can we do? Who can we contact? Who can we tweet and fill the mailboxes of in order to make this issue something that's talked about every single day? Because a lot of youth don't know about it. A lot of people, that are outside of that youth demographic don't know about it. So how do we make it mainstream? How do we do it? So that's the challenge that I have to you, and thank you very, very much for allowing me to be here, and I enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, please do let me know. So thank you very, very much.